Now for the day's sports news with Daniela in Tilly. Hi Danny, it is of course a huge weekend with footy finals, but let's start with the rugby union and a pretty big announcement this afternoon.
Yeah, a massive announcement. Former Wallabies captain and Super Rugby player David Pocock has announced he'll retire from professional rugby. This is almost a year after he announced his international retirement with the Wallabies, but he played 78 tests for Australia, 112 Super Rugby games for the Brumbies and Western Force, and he wants to now focus on conservation and his study, but he's also quite passionate about issues like Black Lives Matters, and he had said that he thought that players should decide themselves whether they should take a knee.
I think for Australia to really move forward, we do need truth and reconciliation, so it really brings up issues around, yeah, how do we tell the truth, how do we actually face our history as a nation, and I think that it's a really important conversation to be having.
Now, Kirsten, the Wallabies coach Dave Rennie spoke today and he said that's not going to happen. However, the Wallabies are wearing a special Indigenous jersey for the Bledisloe, the third Bledisloe test coming up against the All Blacks, and he's hoping that that jersey should be a statement in itself, and this is what he had to say.
No, we won't.
Was any reason for that?
Well, the key thing is, Nikki, this is about honouring our Indigenous people, and we want the focus to be on that.
Tomorrow, of course, is the AFL Grand Final, and this afternoon the captains and the coaches of the two finals teams, Richmond and Geelong, came out and spoke to journalists.
They did speak. Richmond is aiming to defend its crown in the AFL Grand Final against Geelong. If Richmond win and they win their third flag in 4 years, they'd be just one of 8 teams to do that in AFL-VFL history. So on the cusp of greatness there, Kirsten, and Brittany Klein, she was there and she reports from the scene.
Two sides have just held their final press conference just 24 hours out from the first ever grand final to be played outside of Victoria here in Queensland at the Gabba.
So that's the AFL. Tell us about the preparations for the NRL Grand Final on Sunday.
Well, Kirsten, the two best teams are up for the NRL Grand Final, the Panthers and the Melbourne Storm. The Panthers, though, it is going to be a bit tough, even though they're on a 17-game winning streak. They're up against a Storm side playing in their 10th Grand Final. They've got that Grand Final experience compared to a lot of the younger players, but they're pretty motivated to win their first decider since 2003. And a bit of interesting trivia, halfback Nathan Cleary, he worked with the Richmond Tigers to improve his kicking game in the off-season. As for the Melbourne Storm, we don't know whether it will be Cameron Smith's last game. It will be his 430th game and his 8th decider. We'll find out, but obviously the players will want to have a good game for him.
And there's another grand final as well, the NRLW.
It's not ending, is it, Kirsten? It is great. Yeah, so the NRLW will also be played just before the men's grand final in Sydney, and it is the Brisbane Broncos taking on the Roosters. It should be another great game. The Broncos, though, will be quite formidable. They're aiming for an historic 3rd premiership in a row, and they've got their captain, Ali Brigginshaw, who also won the Dally M Female Player of the Year earlier in the week.
To make lots of changes, lots of sacrifices. I think only 2 girls in our team can actually continue working. So financially, it's quite a struggle for this competition.
I just think that we have to sort of keep our confidence and believe in ourselves and, just stick together as a team. And
now another Australian is shining in cycling in Italy.
Yeah, it's great news for Australian cyclist or Perth cyclist Jai Hindley. He moved to 2nd overall after winning stage 18 of the Giro d'Italia, and he's now 2nd behind his Dutch teammate Wilco Kelderman, and the 2nd Australian stage winner after Ben O'Connor's victory yesterday in stage 17. And this is what Jai had to say.
I was just saying before, it's such a beautiful stage today, and it's such epic climbs, and yeah, I'm just over the moon to get the win.
So an exciting weekend in sport coming up, Kirsten.
Absolutely. Thanks, Danny.